intention and Bharat's intent that it is an act of terror, and that is why it's a war on terror. Why should Pahalgam massacre on the 22nd of April be forgotten? How is it that unlike October 7, which is remembered by all, 22nd April is being perhaps very smartly erased from the international narrative? Let's try and I'd like to give credit to Disinfo Labs here, as we're going to talk about the narrative war in this edition. Pakistan's allies backed its propaganda and peddled lies from China to Turkey to Bangladesh. There is clear evidence how various instruments, various platforms, media, social media, and also regular media, both within Pakistan and across the globe, were fed a whole host of lies. They were ready with it. Now, sometimes there are these terms in our scriptures which talk about Swayambodh and Shatrubodh. To know your Shatru, to understand what they are doing and to learn from them and to improve ourselves, this is something which we must contend, and to hand it to the DG ISPR and the Pakistanis. They have always led this entire info war or the narrative war. जब तक सच सामने खड़ा होता है, उठ के खड़ा हो जाता है, झूठ पूरा शहर घूम के आ जाता है. The lies grew the tower of the whole city and come back by the time, the truth even opens the door and stands up or asserts itself. Things are unfolding now, but those critical hours, 4-5 days, 3-4 days, where the entire narrative on social media, on media, swung away from Bharat and painted the victim as the villain and vice versa. How did this happen? Let's try and understand this. Have a look at this flowchart, and if you can go full frame, we'll do that also. Let's try and understand this. The Pakistanis, very simply, start pushing narratives with doctored videos, with content which has got no basis, but they just float these narratives and use all their platforms and all the arsenal that is available. This is a full-on, whole-of-government kind of approach in the disinfo war. There is the DG ISPR, there are news platforms in Pakistan, there are international platforms whose reporters, whose people, whose correspondents are based in Islamabad, who are immediately fed tons of information, and there is not much that is actually coming from Bharat. So it's a one-sided story that gets pushed across. Then you have the pliant media of the allies, the likes of Turkey and the likes of China, whose own state machinery go ahead and amplify the voice of the friend, and in this case Bharat's enemy. And that is done across the world. And doctored videos, doctored visuals, doctored claims, false claims, all of it do the rounds. And there are people within Bharat who are looking at all of this and say, oh my God, where is our voice? Where are we speaking? Joining us now, Lieutenant General Vinod Bhatia, former DGMO, Indian Army and Director, Center for Joint Warfare Studies, St. Joe's, is with us. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, former diplomat, Consul General to Karachi, with us in the studio. We have Major Manik Jolly, Strategic Affairs Expert, and Captain Manjula Katoch, Defence Expert, with us in the studio. Namaste and Jai Hind to everybody. The first question, General Bhatia, this narrative war, this is a serious war, sir. Why are we retaliatory even here? When I say we, Bharat as a nation and our armed forces.
Yes, I think information war, the war on narrative is very important. I think it's equally important as any war. Like you see, essential element of national power is time. Diplomatic, informational, military and economic. So information war is exceedingly important. It's part of our national power. And if we see, I think personally, I think we are not done badly. We done rather well. And though I'm no one to compliment the media, but the media has really been a part, integral part of the of Sindoor, right? Molding public opinion, like your narrative of disinformation relates to Pakistan, you are negating that. So the public opinion, the psychological warfare which the adversary is doing, you are limiting the effect of that on many of us, right? So that's a very important one. I think we can improve definitely, but the fact remains that the war of narratives has been equally effective by India irrespective of what Pakistan says, Pakistan is expert in telling lies, getting more things, and they have a machinery behind it. Unfortunately, I will not say that we have a IIW which is structured, which has got systems that is lacking. But then we are very passionate about what we have done. We know the truth, and the truth has been there, and we have evidence. The 9 training camps they destroyed, the evidence is there for each one of them. The 11 bases they destroyed in 90 minutes, there is evidence of each one of them. Whatever you said, the 3 DG military operations, the DG air operations, the night naval operations, they've come, they have taken questions, they have given the evidence, they have spoken from the head and heart. So I think we should look at that and look at the way Pakistan has actually come out. We can give them some credit for trying to disinformation, but that has not really worked if you see. Even the ministers, the defense minister, the information minister has really come out, in the international media, it's not come out well. They're not able to answer because they're not backed by truth. That's the main thing. Substance is not there.
General Bhatia, I have immense respect for what you say, and perhaps in the experts level and the eyes of the discerning, the narrative is caught. But for the common person, for them to think that, the Pakistanis are saying and the international media is saying, Ambassador Dogra, कि भारत के तो 3 plane गिर गए. The international media is saying that Bharat has not done anything. It is the Pakistanis who struck our air bases. The number of people who have watched international media looking for perhaps credible source of information and have been fed fallacies, have been fed canards, they still are colored. The whole confidence in Bharat and what Bharat is capable of doing, these satellite images have come 4 days later. For the last 4 days, like I said, the lies were traveling all across the world before the truth stands up and speaks for itself. Ambassador Dogra.
Well, you are absolutely right. In fact, even organizations like CNN, which is biased in any case, had declared that India has lost it. So many planes have been down. But let me also say to the credit of the government that 7th and 8th we had lost the information. But thereafter, after Foreign Secretary and the 2 young Defence Service officers started giving the press briefing, the tide started turning because of their dignity and their matter-of-fact approach. After that, the DGMOs of the 3 services took over and they gave the operational details in a very balanced but in a firm manner, giving all the necessary hits and so on. That made a big contrast from their counterpart in Pakistan, the ISPR head, who was hysterical, and his lies were also quite transparent, as were the lies of the defense minister, who said, look, the Indian social media is saying that so many planes have been downed by Pakistan, which also gives us a lesson that it's not only you and me and the government who has to battle it out at the media level or information level. It is also the social media which is playing a hugely important role. Let me go back a little bit in history. We lost the Kashmir case because we were reticent. We didn't want to be aggressive in conveying our point of view. With the result, the Pakistani point of view was accepted by the world. So now we have learned a lesson. And let me also give another instance of history. 1971 was a brilliant case of our battling against all odds, USA, Pakistan and everyone else, and winning the world opinion. The entire media was with us, including pop singers and so on. This time, I must also say one thing. I am disappointed that Bollywood, which has such a hold, not just in India, but also across the world, except maybe for one voice or so, or 1 or 2 voices, the rest is silent.
Let's not just say Bollywood, the entire Indian film industry. So that includes the Telugu film industry, the Tamil film industry, the Malayalam film industry, the Bengali film industry, the Hindi film industry, all of them. You can put all of them together and you yourself please tell me how many of them stood up to say this is true, this is false, and contrast that with what was happening over in.
It's such a pity, Anand, I mean, they have reached where they have because of Indians. Don't they have a single drop of Indian blood in their veins that they should at least speak for the jawans who are at the border and guarding them? Second, the Indian security is providing them security, some of them. I don't know why we are doing that and spending crores on these people who don't have the decency even to speak out. The other thing also, since I'm criticizing, I would also request media or visual media that please don't invite Pakistani guests. Look at what Abdul Basit did the other day. I mean, he came on our television screens and trashed us. Unless we are masochists, I think we have to change our ways. But I must also say that the battle is not over. The battle is on a pause, as Prime Minister said, and it has to be the all of the nation effort now. Social media, every Indian has to do it, not in a ballistic way, but in a matter-of-fact way, putting across your point of view. And for
but
you,
here's the thing, Ambassador Rajiv Dogra.
not in a ballistic way, but in a matter-of-fact way, putting across your point of view. And for
But
you,
here's perhaps the media fraternity has also got to take a large part of the blame. When I say the Indian media fraternity, I'm willing to accept that also. But for the first 48 hours, what was coming from the mechanism, from the government? What information was there?
well, I have been very frank with the government also, let me tell you. that.
I understand. I know you call a spade, but that's also true, Captain Manjula. There was nothing to say. Kya bolenge hum? They were going about and rattling so many things. There was nothing that was coming forward here. What does somebody stand here and defend and say what has happened?
Absolutely, Anand. I do agree that this is not a very conventional warfare. These are the days of information warfare and psychological warfare, wherein information is the front line. And when we say that information is the front line, narrative surely has a big role, very, very big role to play. And narratives are not built on facts alone. I repeat, narratives are not built on facts alone. They are built by power, by presence and by perseverance. When we say this, we need to go all offensive when it comes to building narratives. What you are saying, no, that we took time to build in narratives. See, when a situation like this comes, as a normal citizen, we need to exercise information discipline. We need to trust our government, we need to trust our armed forces, we need to give them time so that they can calibrate what things are to be brought up on the platform, what things are not to be brought up at that particular time. So we need to actually do this. And secondly, what we have done in this Operation Sindoor is, because this is, digital space is there, so we need to flood the digital space with the real-time videos that we did in this Operation Sindoor, because the proofs are there with this timestamp. That is very, very important. And we need to tell to the world our side of the story. What Sir was mentioning, sometimes we we don't tell our side of the story. We need to be very, very offensive in telling the world our side of the story. And yes, we need to push hard the diplomacy.
Here is the thing, before I bring in Major Manik Jolly, all of us need to think about this. Operation Sindoor was not planned overnight. It was planned, the entire operation, what was going to happen, how it's going to be done, what is going to be done. The entire thing took some time to plan. Was there anybody sitting within the government and within this entire think tank saying, how are we going to manage the information war? What's our strategy going to be from the time Operation Sindoor is a get-go? What was the thought process there? Don't think it was have they done better than Balakot? Yes. But the enemy and the other system has done 10 times better. They may be caught with their pants down, lying, yes, agreed. But they have been able to go ahead and float a narrative which will perhaps remain to a certain level, and it's residue. It's residue. So the seeding has to happen much before that. Major Manik Jolly.
Yeah, thanks, Alan.
If I may beg your indulgence, and as I come across to you, let's just quickly look at some of the other instances, how they push this all out. On the 11th of May, the DGISPR used a 2-year-old image from 2023 to falsely show their current Navy preparedness against Bharat. How much time did we take to call this out? Please go back and do your own homework. I'm saying those who are watching within the government also go and see how quick were we on the counter when they launched these cannons. The Pakistani government's official handle shared a video game clip claiming it showed them shooting down Indian aircraft. The footage was actually from a PC game showing a close-in weapon system engaging a target. Information Minister Tarar praised this nerve-wracking response. It was only when X withheld this video and flagged it off saying this is from SpaceX, etc. and other platforms, that's when anybody here closer home reacted. Why was this not called out? DGISPR recycles old footage of sectarian clashes in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa from early 2024. This was debunked by PIB fact check and presented it as an evidence of their attack on Srinagar Air Base. How quick was PIB fact check on this one? They have done a fantastic job, but should they have been prepared and far armed to the teeth with people who will fact check this faster, AI codes written that will take away and discern the fake videos from the genuine ones? This is the extent of their disinformation campaign. Then Pakistan claimed to have shot down 5 Indian fighter jets sharing unverified doctored images as proof. These were actually photos from a 2024 MiG-29 crash in Rajasthan, a 2014 Sukhoi 30 MKI crash in Maharashtra. Bharat's Air Marshal confirmed all Operation Sindoor pilots had returned safely. This is what Major Manik Jolly. How much time did the Bharat take to say all our pilots have returned safely? How much time did we take that this is all fake? There was a lag. Every second counts, every minute counts.
Thanks, Anand. So why does disinformation value matter so much, right? So I spent my life studying in subversion, propaganda, all that.
Ji.
You see, these are data points in history. When all these data points are entered into system, article written, tweets mentioned, all that, say 5 years after, somebody is doing a study on what happened in Operation Sindoor, 90% of the hits he will get is Pakistanis did this, India did this. 10% would be our claims. That becomes a status, that becomes a fact. So whatever is happening today actually is paving path for the narratives that will come in future. It is not just about this week, 10 days where we can keep countering them on social media, which is also left on the social media warriors. It's just, enthusiastic people who are fighting here, this is right, that is wrong. A lot of these videos have been fact checked by individual users. There's no government fact check.
Yeah.
So when you leave that gap in the information, and you rightly brought out, if the operation was planned, there should have been a planning on information layout, exactly time the missile struck the terror bases. This is what we have done. This is leaving no space for enemy, because when there's a vacuum, Pakistanis have been doing this information warfare for very long. And because of our political correctness or the way we are, we just never got into that domain. So they dominated, especially internationally, and we have no space there. We've maybe started to make efforts. Those are also individual media houses maybe, but I don't think there is anything national level happening that somebody is making a statement anywhere in France or UK, and we have official statement coming out that how dare you, this is not the right.
Correct.
We just don't do that.
This spot on fact check, minute to minute, instant fact check, the speed with which our missile defense systems are working, or air defense systems are working, our information warfare defense systems or offensive systems have to work faster.
ISPR has network of hundreds and thousands of influencers across the world. The moment they say go, within half an hour their information is viral. And India being the largest user of WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, maybe the third largest user of Twitter after US and Japan maybe, right? We still struggle to put our narrative out because the thing is, one, we don't have information coming from, as you said, facts around which we can, shape our communication. Secondly, everything is left on social media users that they will fight the war. We don't have to get into that. That's not how it works. Then the level of war will stay at social media. You'll not be able to graduate to the national war. Third, we don't counter officially, which is very critical. One statement from minister, one statement from government makes a whole lot of difference. You see when DGMOs came out, you see when PM Modi went to Adampur, those single incidents bring a marked change in the whole narrative that happens. And finally, we don't have an aggressive posture. Why are we not engaging foreign journalists, right? Come here, see the truth, you write about us. So we can't hope to attain much if we leave it to the, on its own.
See, there is a shift in the momentum in the sense that let the storm blow over. let's just hunker down, let the storm blow over, and then there will be the counter, there will be the retaliation. So now there is open source information, intelligence is coming out. But General Bhatia, today, now we've got people like Spencer, there are Tom Cooper and so many others who are coming out and saying the victory was a comprehensive Bharatiya victory. Operation Sindoor was a victory. In 90 hours, Pakistan natmastak ho gaya. Pakistan lost in 90 hours. They were brought to heel in 90 hours. That's come out 3 days, 4 days later. When this is happening at that time, why is it that open source intelligence is the only source for people? There are so many people who have done some phenomenal service to Bharat on open source intelligence. But why is the military establishment, the government of the day, not providing, not engaging with people, voices? General Bhatia, is it so difficult for Bharat to do? Or is that something which is never taken care of? Because like Major Jolly was saying, this residue, this data dust will collect over a period of time, and 5 years down the line, that's when this entire narrative war will manifest.
No, I do agree that the narrative war needs systems, it needs structures, and we lack those structures. I said so earlier also. We need to create that system in us, and we have not done it. A small thing, everyone in the media calls it Balakot. And I've been crying loud that it's not Balakot, it's Jabbar Top. The terrorist training camp is in Jabbar Top.
Jabbar Top.
Camp. And Jabbar Top is 20 kilometers away from Balakot, 21.5 kilometers to be precise. And when we talk about sub-metric accuracy, everyone calls it Balakot. Why? Because at 5:30 in the morning on the 26th of February, the DG ISPR tweeted, Indian Air Force attacks Balakot. And that became Balakot. Right? We were totally wrong. But from there, today, yes please, you're saying something?
No sir, please, the same thing, we don't say it, we don't call it Atari border. Our own Bharatiya media calls it Wagah border. So,
I call it Atari border.
So that's what I'm saying is, it is now that people are saying Atari border. Till now it was always like this. It was always this Pakistani narrative. Gunmen kaho, militant kaho, terrorist mat bolo. All of this. Where is the counter? The counter has to come from the system, and it has to come aggressively, General Bhatia. This time around also the same thing. Jabbar Top, why was it that it was not hammered in such a way that there were 100 million posts or more on social media and across that the data does says it's Jabbar Top?
So that's what I'm trying to say actually. We speak the same language. A few years ago, my friend General Atar Hasnan, and all of us know him very well, he was speaking at the IISS London, and he praised the DG ISPR as one of the, as a very effective organ of the military for IW. And he was trolled in India, by the way. Okay, he had brought it out. So what I'm trying to say is different. Firstly, we need structures which we do not have structures. And don't give everything to the military. The military is only one part of it. We are a democracy, and we have to, Information Broadcasting Ministry, the largest network, Doordarshan, on the radio. People listen to him. Have we used that for public opinion? I don't know. I don't think so. And if we've done it, we've not done it effectively. Right? So we leave it to the others to do it. So there is a need to get the structure systems right, to get in place, lessons to be learned. I think surgical strikes we did well. Balakot, we did not. Presently, I think it's a 50-50 thing. We may be a late starter, but we've done rather well in the end. You see, credibility in IW, in public opinion, credibility is very important.
Right.
It is okay to say 1,000 lies, told over 1,000 times, the truth. Fine. But credibility has to be there. Today, Pakistan lost credibility. Their short-term gains were there when they said 5 aircraft down. But today, everyone knows they are not down.
Does it
credibility is very important.
Does it matter to them? Does it matter to the Pakistanis? It does not matter to the enemy. The point is, what is Bharat's equivalent of DG ISPR? Does the world know? It starts from there, General Saab. And at least today, from today onwards, I can make a solemn promise that we will call it Jabbar Top. At least I will call it Jabbar Top. Point is that even in conversation, you also said Balakot and not Jabbar Top. This is what has happened. I'm just saying this is the problem that we need to deal with. Who is Bharat's DG ISPR? What institution is it? that is going to ensure that the world follows Bharat's narrative. Let's try and look at this and bring the international angle beyond Pakistan.
General Sahib. Bharat does not need a ceasefire. We need a structure at the government level. We're a democracy. The Pakistan army is different from ours. We cannot a Pakistani army, but we definitely need a war of narratives. We need an IW, and we need experts in it. And one of the suggestions I have had, and I've said so openly, let us get the experts and let us TAize them. Get them to the TA, right? Let them do the main job, and when it comes to, they just come up. Something in Kargil which we did very rightly when we created the ALC. So there are past things which can be done. We can get people like you as into the TA, right? Territorial army. What is stopping us? But if we don't have structure, the DJ, ISPR, I think we will be doing the same thing over and over again. We need structure and there are lessons learned.
True. Why can't we have an MIB PR, or why can't we have an MIB war desk information? It can be done. It's not been done. What I'm saying is, it does not have to be a military equivalent, but there has to be a national equivalent that talks about Bharat's narrative and Bharat's story and puts it out there, and it's a strong entity. Let's look at what is happening. Pakistan's DGISPR's propaganda found global allies, predominantly in the form of Turkey and China. Bharat confirmed that Pakistan used Turkish, Chinese drones and missiles against Bharat. Turkey fueled Pakistan's info war by amplifying false narratives. These include shaping narratives and perceptions using state-funded media, social media propaganda machinery, and in news there is Indian Air Force also by. So all of this was done by the Pakistani drones and, beg your pardon, the Pakistani narrative was amplified by TRT, again Turkey's official media, CCTN, Chinese media, Xinhua, Global Times. These are all mouthpieces of those allies of Pakistan. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, where is Doordarshan across all the 70 countries that matter to us? Did we work with the likes of Russia, their state media, Israel, their state media, nations that are friendly to us, Saudis, the state media? Did we work with them? Did we say, this is what we would like to put, this is our story?
Well, theoretically, we've been thinking for a long time that we must reach out to the world. In practice, we have not done it. We've been quite a failure there. If Russia can have Russia Today, if Qatar can have Al Jazeera, why can't we have at least one channel which reaches out to the world?
Sir, we have Doordarshan. It's supposed to be Bharat's state media,
But
Bharat's voice to the world. What it's doing, the powers that we have to look at it. But this is an important tool in Bharat not winning this info war. Plus, where are the allies? The allies are doing their bit, but are we feeding them information? Are we encouraging them to be with us?
Well, the less said about Doordarshan, the better. I'll be frank about it. But let me start from where you left off. We did lose the information war, especially since we had the lead knowledge that this is going to happen. I think that was a failure on our part. Second, we can't say that, after some time we made up. No, first impressions last. And the first impressions were given by Pakistan that 5 aircrafts were down by Pakistan and so much other damage was done.
See, look at what TRT did. TRT echoed DGISPR's fake claims like Indian Air Base destruction despite no evidence. Turkey state-funded agencies, TRT World, Anadolu Agency ran Pakistani narrative laced with biased reporting and unverified claims aimed at explicitly towing the Pakistani narrative. Then the TRT World has a chronic bias aligned with Pakistan's claims. TRT World published over 30 long stories while Bharat abrogated Articles 370 and 35A of our constitution related to Jammu and Kashmir, and interestingly 14 of them were also recommended by Pakistan's foreign ministry. There is so much more. Inka kacha chitha hai. TRT gave a platform to Nasir Qadri, a Pak national who pushed Israel-Bharat alliance narrative during India-Pak 2025 conflict. Qadri accused Bharat of adopting Israeli settler colonial tactics concocted by transnational alliance of Muslim Brotherhood, Pak and Jamaat-e-Islami. Now, Turkey's New Age info warfare also accounts for clash report on X, Telegram, actively retweeted, translated ISPR clips and Pakistani propaganda, helping it trend globally. This is a big list. There's a full list of what Turkey has done. There's another big list of what the Chinese have done. So this is how the allies are coming up to help Bharat. Bharat does not need anybody's help to fight a kinetic war or a strategic war. But info war, we need help, sir.
So what happens is, it's not just Turkey and China or Pakistan. The information they give out or the disinformation they give out also influences the media of other countries and also the decision makers of other countries. If one is sitting, let's say, in Nepal and deciding on policy towards India, he'll only be influenced by what he sees and hears. And that's not good news for India. The second thing is, let me give you another example.
Ji.
America, when the first Gulf War started, they just kept saying, hammering home the point, Iraq has weapons of mass destruction. The entire world believed it. Look at Indus Waters Treaty. No one in India knew, I of course wrote it in my book, no one in India knew what was India's claim, what was India's case. It's only now it is coming out because I keep saying the same thing over and over again in every TV channel, that how India was financially blackmailed into signing on the dotted line. So there is something which we have to seriously reflect upon and plan for the next challenge. And next challenge may come tomorrow from Pakistan, day after tomorrow from China, and day after tomorrow from Bangladesh.
No, it have you talked about Bangladesh? Have a look at this. Fake news, disinformation generated, shared by several Bangladeshi accounts, reaching thousands with fake news. Some posts even hitting 1,000 plus retweets targeting Bharat and peddling hate. Several Bangladeshi accounts posted warning post claiming that if Bharat attacks Pakistan, Bangladesh would claim the seven sisters of India. Himmat himakat dekho. What is our counter to Muhammad Yunus and what he's been uttering? How dare a Bangladesh even think that they can get away with statements like that? What is our counter to them? What are we doing? How are we punitively punishing that nation and its leader? It's frustrating as a Bharatiya to see all of this happening in our neighborhood. These are people who should never come out of their burrows. They should not even dare when Bharat is around. But why? China emerged to be another key proponent. Systems like HQ-9, HQ-16, missiles P-15 used by Pakistan during the conflict, but China's support for Pakistan exceeded in aiding in the propaganda also. Where have we dissed the Chinese equipment? Where have we gone public, and where is this info war that totally says China's ka sab kuch fail hai?
Anand,
I'm just saying, as an info war, this is the psych war, right?
Even as we are speaking, on my way here, I heard a video by Najam Sethi where he says China is started supplying us arms and equipment again. So that is it.
China, they may be starting to supply arms and equipment, but there is a narrative war. Today is the biggest time when we can say you can't trust any Chinese equipment. The military industrial complex, 8% stocks down. This was something that the government should have unleashed its entire machinery globally to go and push a narrative war against the Chinese. Major Manik Jolly and then Captain Manjula. Ji.
Yeah, it was a great achievement. You know, the moment the markets crashed, we should have be putting it everywhere. We are actually casual with information. I don't know why. It is just in our thinking, let's say, past 7 days. We are very happy. Social media handles or, voices making claims which are not true, as long as they are in our favor. This is also misinformation. We need to put a check to that also, because we think it is good. Aap Pakistan ki besti kar rahe ho. But we don't realize that brings down the credibility of social media handles, Indian social media, media as such down, and when they become less dependable, they get marked or flagged on the Twitter intrinsically in algorithm, or people who are reading it abroad, the value comes down, your dependability goes down, your trustworthiness goes down. So I remember when America was fighting wars, right? There are a couple of these guys who were saying, today this happened, that happened. The government pulled them up actually. That it does not matter you're speaking in our favor or not. That propaganda is left for enemy. Do not try and fool us also, us, just because you want us to feel good. The credibility of media and social media is very critical if we want to fight effective information wars. And we often, just one last thing, right? We often hear this, that Pakistan, they paid money of $1,000 and got it in New York Times. You give $10,000 to at least get the truth printed. What is wrong? This is the kind of warfare it is. It will not be fought on ethics and principles. It will be fought on the terms it is How many people read that article in US or France or Thailand, and that will, if it is required to be paid, go ahead, pay it.
No, but this does not start on the 22nd of April, or it does not start on the 7th of May, Captain Manjula. It has to start much before.
Yeah.
Much before, and it's supposed to be cultivated, it's supposed to be nurtured, it's supposed to be that at times of strife, when Bharat is in a position of strategic advantage, disadvantage, whatever position, there will be allies across the world who will stand by Bharat, especially on the information point of view. Agree, disagree? Are we doing that?
I totally agree to you, Anand, that information warfare is a very, very important and strategic tool. We must use it all offensive. I absolutely agree to this. Having said this, I would also like to reiterate that, see, in the battle of truth and lies, truth will always and always win. Whatever propaganda Pakistan created, but as a citizen, I would like to say we should not fall prey of those propagandas. You know, what happened Abhi in this Operation Sindoor was PM Modi's visit to Adampur, no? So that was a propaganda, no, that they have damaged and destroyed our runway and all those things. But what happened when the Prime Minister of 1.4 billion souls, when he walks confidently and calmly on that base, that Pakistan was claiming that this was damaged and destroyed. So what happened? The truth was unfolded. The world saw the truth, not through the press release, but by Modi's boots on that tarmac. Isn't it a proof in itself?
No, it's a
Do
proof.
we need something else?
It's a proof, and the Prime Minister was the best in terms of quelling the narrative. He knows how to do it, and pictures speak 1,000 words. But
Absolutely.
Pakistan didn't claim only Adampur, right? Pakistan claimed a lot of other bases. Why could we issue pictures saying all is well? Why was it just then 3-4 pictures that came after 8 hours after this entire narrative on the press briefing? Why was that? Why weren't the pictures immediately released saying all is well? Chahiye aake dekh lo, submit to us, accept defeat, and then we'll send you more pictures. Yes, Major Jolly.
I'll just say that the national narrative of safety and Pakistan defeat should not be depending on just Prime Minister visiting Adampur. There are departments who are responsible for disseminating information. They should be doing that. They should have. And as you said, these were, sorry, I'm very passionate. I get a little worked up on this. That we do really bad. Every day I'm on Twitter 24 hours since the time Sindoor started, and I just hate to see the information that is on international media. There is no mention of Pahalgam. There is no mention of terror attack.
Exactly.
There is no mention of India's right to defend itself. We are being projected as aggressors, which is what we should have. Actually, information war network should have been existed 15 years back. Now is the time we should have leveraged it. It's still not too late. We should start building on these things. If we want something to go viral, our agency should have the capability of getting it done next 15 minutes. Not start looking for free social media handles and sending them photo to people.
I think one of the simple things, General Bhatia, here is, how can 22nd of April be forgotten on social media so fast? It's somewhere because we didn't say post-Pahalgam Operation Sindoor. Had the government officially said post-Pahalgam Operation Sindoor in all its communication, rather than just saying Operation Sindoor, Pahalgam would not have been forgotten in the footprint, in the entire data print on social media and this entire information war. This is how the enemy looks for chinks as far as our information and communication is concerned. General Bhatia, your thoughts? We've got more news coming through. We'll move to that after this. Yeah, your comment. Ji. Sir, you're on mute. General Bhatia, you're not audible, sir. General Bhatia, you're not audible. Yeah, now you are. Now you are. Go ahead, please.
Operation Sindoor, I think whoever thought of it, it's a masterstroke, because Operation Sindoor says it all. It does not have, well, it is directly related to Pahalgam. When you do IW, you have to target different people. One is your own public, which is public. Second is the adversary, which is psychological operations. And third is the international opinion makers, what Ambassador Dogra was talking about. So you have to, that's what I keep saying. My first sentence was, we need structure and systems in place. It is not that we wake up one day on 22nd of April and start saying Pahalgam, or on the 6th, 7th night and start saying Operation Sindoor. So these have to be prepared, like we do contingency planning for all operations. We have various contingencies for all operations. We war game them. I think IW has to integrate it not only the military, but integrate at the national level. Because then it is not only military, right? It's political, military and state looking at. So what our public opinion feels, what the cycling operations against the Pakistan and the international. So there are three different targets, absolutely target audience for this, and we can do it. It's not that we have the wherewithal, especially for public opinion, we have the wherewithal. But yes, what we lack is system and structure which we need under, as a lesson learned for this Operation Sindoor. I think Operation Sindoor, the word Operation Sindoor says it all.
It does. It does, but somewhere Pahalgam should not be eclipsed. It all starts from Pahalgam, and the word Pahalgam, the date of 22nd April.
Like strikes.
Correct. Somewhere it should be 22nd April Operation Sindoor. The date, the incidents, somewhere it has to resonate. But even as we conclude this discussion, there is more conversation and news coming through. We'll go to that. A big shout out to all those who have done phenomenal work using even open source intelligence. Now, more news coming through. CNN News 18's mega exclusive shared with us by Manoj Kumar Gupta, Network 18 Group Editor, Investigations and Security Affairs. Now, intel sources have told CNN News 18 that China wants gains in global arms and weapons market. Operation Sindoor was an open display of Chinese weapons as Pakistan relies on China for 81% of its weaponry. China didn't want this to fail in any case, but when the Indian systems bypassed everything, they started a hybrid war. China wants to expand its weapons market beyond Pakistan, wants to enter tier 1 markets like France and Russia, and in order to further their motive, pro-Pakistan networks used artificial intelligence tool to fabricate videos, such as a clip of a burning Rafale jet falsely attributed to Operation Sindoor. These were traced to Chinese YouTube channels like AI and Life. Old videos of Indian aircraft crashes and a 2021 MiG-21 crash in Punjab were used as proof of Pakistani military success. China's troll armies amplified these posts across social media, including Global Times and Xinhua. Both were the first to come out with claims of Pak shooting down Indian Rafale jets. These reports lacked evidence but gained traction globally due to Chinese media influence. China's support for Pakistan's disinformation campaign is also a means to achieve long-term strategic and economic goals. Sources also said China doesn't want to lose control of CPEC due to internal reasons in Pakistan and such as Balochistan. Now, this support was mandatory for controlling minerals in Balochistan, as China already entered Afghanistan for the same reasons. So this entire Chinese game, Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, we have to call it out. The Chinese industrial market stocks tumbled 8%. Nobody wants to do deals. They're cancelling deals. This is the time to move in with a counter-offensive bigger than Operation Sindoor on the Infowar front.
In fact, a lot needs to be done. And I think if we go big on just this point, that will be a major gain for us. Because it will also be demoralizing the Chinese arms industry and the faith some countries seem to have for that industry. It's also a good morale booster for our soldiers, because if they feel we have beaten the Chinese supplied arms to Pakistan, we can also do the same with China. So we have to consider these aspects and then go for it.
Captain Manjula?
Yes, absolutely, I agree. We have a long way to go, and whenever a situation like this happens, there is always a time for reflection. Whatever has happened, and now is the time for reflection. Why did this happen? What could have we done better? And I am sure our agencies, our armed forces and the government also, India as a nation, will certainly reflect on what happened, and we'll go forward here on. I'm really sure of that.
Right, I just hope that we do that. I thank all our guests, but viewers, Major Manik Jolly is going to stay back, because we're going to do a little bit of the entire disinformation busting, and with proof and with pictures. Watch this. Major Manik Jolly is with us, and let's try and understand. Let's try and look at the satellite images that Maxar has been able to pull out, and these are high-res images, viewers, which also show the amount of destruction Bharat has unleashed upon Pakistan's Air Force infrastructure. The Pakistan Air Force, nearly 20% of their infrastructure has been reduced to rubble. It has been targeted with pinpoint precision. So Major Manik Jolly, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for coming. Let's try and understand one by one. Now, this is the Bholari Air Base. Yep. Now, what is the significance, first up, the importance of the Bholari Air Base? The other part is, now we see the before and after. So this is how the installation actually looked, and this is the post the strike. Clearly, this looks like a hangar which was housing some... Yeah, please.
Yeah. So, I think the biggest significance here is, generally, if you take a step back, right, Balakot. When we had Balakot strike, we were able to show the holes in the roof,
Yeah.
This is stuck, and everybody said, a lot of experts, that
Correct.
this is only what we were showing, this is not much. Here we've shown the strike as well as the damage. So even that was this, to be honest, right? That's a very critical point. We just had a few images. And here we've gone even a step ahead to show the damage inside. So there is a possibility where people have zoomed this, and there is some asset which is inside, which has been destroyed.
So you're saying there is asset destroyed here?
Yes.
So there is an asset that's been destroyed here.
The precision of Indian Air Force, where they have launched this missile, definitely is not to break a building, right? So they've gone after this hangar because it could be, a critical asset there, and it looks like it could be AWACs, the AWACS, or it could be any of the surveillance.
So when you say AWACS, why are they critical?
So AWACS are the backbone of your surveillance system in air. They are at a lot of height. They monitor the entire battlefield. They are the ones that see what you are doing, what I am doing. They keep all the systems engaged in real time, and even your anti-aircraft, even your aircraft, even your ground positioning system, even your radars, everything is connected to them.
So the AWAC is the hub at the top in the skies, and it monitors and it can see more than 100 kilometers away what the enemy is doing.
So naturally, if you are at the top versus you are at a radar, you get a much broader space to look into.
Correct.
And hence their criticality, they become such a critical asset of the entire electronic warfare system.
Right.
So if we have been able to take out that's a big achievement for Air Force.
Air Force.
Because single-handedly this takes away the capability to monitor and run the battlefield.
So let's look at the Jacobabad Air Base. Now this is another air base which many were not talking about, but now the Jacobabad Air Base has now come into conversation. This is Bulari, sorry. This is Jacobabad. Now again, this is a critical installation, and if you look at it very carefully, this also is quite big. This is a satellite image, so this is quite big. And look at the damage. It's now hit. Now, if I hit this, does this mean the whole installation is gone, or does only this portion of the installation is hurt? How do you interpret this?
So I see it this way. Why not this building or that building? Our intelligence is pretty strong.
Okay.
And as I was saying yesterday, this is a combination of intelligence, capability and political will.
Okay, now I'm just saying, viewers, think about this. We are looking at the picture and saying, okay, this has been destroyed, but Major Jolly is asking, why not this or why not this? Why only this was targeted? So please explain.
So this is a showcase of our intelligence and strike capability. We did not go after this or that building or something. We wanted to show that if we are going for the middle where you've housed this is not a hangar. This is not a typical hangar, right? This is not a place where you would be storing in common language. Planes would be. This looks like a control center.
Okay. So this is a possible control center. Please speak. Continue.
So if they are if they are going after this, it means single strike taking out the control station of the entire air base. And if you do not have a control base, you cannot take off. You don't know how, you're flying blind, right? It's like World War II.
So this is perhaps the most critical portion of the, and that's how strong the intelligence is. Viewers, Major Jolly is saying there is a reason why this building and this building was not touched. Only this structure was pinpoint precision attacked, because this is possible that this was the control and command area or main communication center. So unless you have communications, if there is no ATC, can flights take off? That's exactly what. If there is no command center operating there at an airbase, can any of the machines even take off? That cannot happen. So that's perhaps the biggest damager.
This is a step ahead of ATC, right? This is the air control station where all the operation commanders would sit, look at the radars, and they would say, okay, you go here, you go there, the air defense does this missile here. If you take that out, there is nothing to manage the entire air ops. So this is our message to them also, that we are not just going after your planes. We can take out even the control station. This is part of that.
So Jacobabad this way is actually rendered blind. Let's look at the next one. This is Noor Khan. Now Noor Khan, we have to tell our viewers, Noor Khan, this is Rawalpindi. So they say that this is situated between Pindi and Islamabad. But many would say this is perhaps the nerve center, Rawalpindi, nerve center of the Pak armed forces.
True.
Is this the place where Munir's bunker, Munir went into a bunker here? Munir went into bunker here. Okay. Why? And why is this critical? What has been targeted here?
I think this is, here they have gone after air assets.
Yeah.
because you see the size of the thing, right?
Yeah, this is
compared to
quite
that.
big. The
Yeah.
and
That building looks like kind of, in my understanding, is kind of hangars,
Huh.
right? And they are front facing to runway. This could have been they've gone after critical assets here.
so are these hangars?
Looks like.
Okay, hangars. So hangars because clearly some air machines are there inside.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, when we are going for a strike, the intelligence is solid. You are going after solid targets, not just any. You're going after F-16s. You're
Correct.
going after refuelers. You're going after AWACS. You are trying to take out the things, the assets which are critical for running air operations,
Air operations.
stations. So if they've gone here, it has three meanings. One, we can hit your nerve center, which is supposed to protect your the base, right? Second, we've taken out a critical asset that renders you incapable.
Correct.
And third, since we have rendered you incapable, now we can come and hit you again. So do whatever you can, but now you are handicapped that way.
So and these machines can't take off.
Impossible.
And they are rendered useless.
Yeah.
So you are there defenseless and bare.
Yeah.
That's the case.
That's the
now
case.
many viewers watching this would ask, agar they were so bare, वापस जाके ठोका क्यों नहीं? Why didn't we hit them again? But that's a different explanation. So this is where it is. So this is Rawalpindi. Munir went into a bunker soon after this had happened. Because this was perhaps the nerve center, critical installations, and it's not that this was the only hit.
No, it wasn't.
This is just the only image.
Yeah.
This is the image of one of the possible installations or thing that was hit at the Noor Khan Air Base.
Noor Khan, I think there are runway hits also.
So there are hits on the runway also in Noor Khan, but this is one of the pictures, and again a critical installation. Again, if you see, it's a cluster of buildings, but what's been hit is here. This is what's been hit. It's not that they've hit here, hit anywhere. This is possible outflow for the aircraft to come out.
Yeah, so
Correct?
the positioning and the size.
This is
would
the
say,
actual width.
Yeah, that these are possibly hangars. And see the crater here, right? See the crater here. So and you see, remember the picture from Jacobabad?
Correct.
There you had a structure very different from this.
Correct. If you were to compare and contrast this structure with the Jacobabad structure, see, just viewers, just mind this. Look how the layout of this place is. And let's just go back, one sec. Let's just go back to pictures. And this is Bulari, this is Jacobabad.
See.
So the structure is very different.
Yeah. So while this hit had a different meaning, that had something that we are taking out assets. While both could be opposite actually, but we are going after control stations as well as the air assets.
Air assets. So somewhere from where you're controlling, commanding and operating the entire airbase, and somewhere where you have critical assets, where the enemy has critical assets, that needs to be targeted so that they those assets cannot be airborne at the time of need, and then they are rendered, the enemy is rendered defenseless. Now let's understand Sargodha. Sargodha, the most popular image is this crater. This is perhaps, look at the size, this is the runway, and look at the size of the crater. This is huge, this crater. Yeah, please.
This is actually very huge. This is, I mean, I don't know if everybody is getting the feel of it, that how big this crater is with a single hit. That is the capability of the missiles that we've sent. Now, what this does do, it is not like fighter jet runways are not like normal roads. So there's a lot of buzz that is being, there's a crater, why can't they fill it up? It doesn't work like that. There are almost 5 to 6 layers in which it makes it, because the amount of force with which fighters land, you have to have specialized runway. They can't do it on every road, right? So by creating such a massive crater here, you've rendered it useless. Second, what you've done is, they've stuck around also, here and there. Right? You've shown that if you try to repair it, we will strike you again. So this crater will stay as an open testament of our capability, and we will not let you repair also.
We will not let you repair also.
So
okay.
When you demolish the air defense capability and also hit the air asset and flying capability, I think you put them in a position that this is broken down and we can't even repair. Sargodha is there, one of the crown jewels, because this is what will give flight to the nuclear assets.
Nuclear assets. This is where the
Kirana
Hills are here. Okay.
Around there.
But
So
the Air Marshal's operation said he didn't know where it was.
Yeah, so we also don't know.
We also don't know. We are just making a supposition that it is here.
Yeah, so but we sent a message that 20 kilometers won't matter to us.
Right. Now this is the Sukur Air Base. Again, the structure that's been targeted is very different. Yeah.
So this also, I mean, this looks a kind of a control station. I don't see this as a pathway to anything else. But it could be also housing their, AVAX, if
Yeah.
possibly.
Okay.
But I cannot say for confirmation.
So AVAX, is it possible AVAX that have been destroyed here? So that's the big question in this segment. Again, it looks very clear. This has not been targeted. This has. So choices we can choose. I want to break this or this. I decide to go for this. That's the level of precision we are also showing.
This is the one thing I'm not sure what were the assets here. But here, I think the point was message that we can go for here, we can go for here, wherever we want.
हाँ, जहाँ मूड करेगा वहाँ ठोक.
Co-presented by.
That was a fantastic discussion going on there, and I wish I could have joined you because it was really, really insightful. But we're joined by Lauren Dagan-Amos, who's in India specialist. She's a foreign policy expert. Thank you very much for joining me. There are many, Ms. Amos, there are many who are saying that if India was in such a strong position against Pakistan, why did it agree to what is effectively a ceasefire without preconditions? That is what is being said here in our country. First, what is your assessment of the Indian military action and its subsequent decision to agree to an understanding, so to speak, that has led to a ceasefire?
So thank you so much for having me here. So it's a complex answer, but it's very straight. I don't think that India went to a ceasefire without agreements, without conditions. Okay, as you can see, this crisis, it's not the usual crisis between India and Pakistan. It's a strategic shift that India did in the foreign policy, in the strategy, defense policy. India responds not only with military efforts, but with a clear message. Terrorism will no longer be treated in a separate issue. It's an act of war, and it's very important. It's this very big shift in the foreign policy and defense policy that Narendra Modi brought to India. Even now, we can see in the de-escalation, India is showing that it's not a weakness; it is strength. On India terms, I think India went from this crisis very strong, actually.
Very strong. Well, there is a lobby here that says that India should have signed a formal, they should have dragged Pakistan to the table and signed a formal ceasefire agreement in writing. How realistic and responsible is this observation?
I think that if India wants to be a responsible country, which is, she needs to do something with the Sindoor agreement and the Shimla agreement. It's very important because these agreements was the basic talking with India and Pakistan during a crisis time. And it's very important that you should go back to the table, and you will see what can you bring now, which kind of new agreements about the Indus agreement and Shimla agreement. So before the ceasefire, I think these two agreements are very important.
My final question, do you see parallels between India's action after Pahalgam attack and what Israel did after October 7?
I think that India and Israel, not for the first time, are dealing with extreme radicalism, Islamic. And I think India and Israel should do a deeper relationship in the security issues and the policy issues and the economy issues, because they are dealing with the same threats. October 7, it's for India, it's like a Mumbai attack, and like 9/11, and like you did deal now with the Kashmir issue. And I think for both of the country need to do much deeper a relationship now, because it's very important and we can do better for each other. we can learn from India, and India can learn from us in the field of battle, of course. As you can see in this combat, a lot of things that Israel and India went together to do things was successfully showed the means and the prove ourselves, the relationship prove ourselves in this combat field.
Well, thank you, Ms. Amos, for joining us here on CNN News 18 with your comments, very valued comments. Thank you very much.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
That was a fantastic discussion going on there, and I wish I could have joined you because it was really, really insightful. But we're joined by Lauren Dagan Amos, who's an India specialist. She's a foreign policy expert. Thank you very much for joining me.
Good evening, you're watching Brass Tacks. I'm Zakir Jacob. The dust on the war between India and Pakistan is settling, and now the pieces are falling in place. The friends and foes of India are becoming clearer. Turkey and Azerbaijan are standing out as two countries that have openly sided with Pakistan against India. And this sentiment is now sweeping across the public, who want to teach Turkey a lesson. Indian tourists are on a boycott Turkey spree. Indian travel companies are reporting anywhere between a 25% to 50% cancellation or drops simply in Indians who are planning to travel to Turkey for the summer vacation. Is this a fleeting threat like we saw with Maldives last year, where there was boycott Maldives, it was a huge trend, there was outrage across the country, it lasted for a few weeks, and now tourist arrivals from India into Maldives are pretty much at levels